Rebecca Arkfeld, and I'm a member of the Battle Creek FCCLA chapter, and I focused on repurpose and redesign for my STAR project this year. After the way STAR ended last year, I decided that I was going to do recycle and redesign. I wasn't sure what I was going to recycle and redesign, but with the whole summer in quarantine to decide, I wasn't worried. I first started by looking around the house to see if there was something to start a new project on. But there wasn't much potential. But then garage season started, and I knew that's how I was going to find my perfect project. Friday morning on August 1st, I found this sewing table for $5 at my local community members garage sale. Guessing by the legs, wood material, hardware, and overall design, I guess it had to be from the 60s or 70s. As a lover for vintage things, I was thrilled to create something new from it. But I had no idea how to recycle it. So I turned to my best friend, Pinterest. I found a few ideas, but what really stuck with me was the idea of placing plants where the sewing machine used to sit. I loved this idea, and I felt I would get the most use out of it, considering my house has multiple porches, including a huge wraparound in the front. My inspiration for my designs came from the following pins from Pinterest. There weren't many sewing tables that quite looked like mine, so I had to use my imagination when it came to designing it. I knew right away that I wanted to use a mid-century color scheme to keep the original design of the table noticeable, which included green, yellow, orange, and a cream color. It took some time to establish a design for the door of the cabinet below. After doing numerous sketches, I finally found the one I love, which is shown here. I began my project by unassembling the table, including all the hardware, the screws, and then I began sanding down every inch of the table with a hand sander. It was my first time using an electric sander. It was challenging to get the pressure and technique right. But once I did, it was smooth sailing from there. My mother was also happy I was able to use all the sandpaper that has been sitting in our basement for years. While I was in the basement rummaging through her large collection of renovation tools and supplies, I also found a dark wood stain, which worked perfect for the top of the table. The following couple of days was spent painting every inch of the table and spray painting the hardware with a fresh coat of gold paint. The early summer weather was perfect for painting. After a couple of days of painting and drying, it was time to reassemble the table. This was one of the most difficult steps. I'm glad that I thought about it in the beginning though, because I took pictures of every inch of the table, which I used as a guide. With some help from my dad, we were able to put everything back together. At the end of the project, I ended up spending a total of 15 hours and 42 minutes. The average person who isn't a perfectionist like me probably would have spent a max of 10 hours. Well, maybe not even that. By far, my favorite part of the project was adding the plants. I found an old Tupperware container and planted some plants my mother had around the house, with some leftover soil from last spring. To help with the drainage of water, I put a layer of rocks at the bottom of the container. I used rocks from outside my house to save money. It has been a few months, and it's been so rewarding to see how the plants have comfortably grown around the table, almost like it's supposed to be there. I feel like this was the best way I could have recycled and brought this new project to life. Literally. During the summer, I will place this planter on the porch of my house, so people driving by will get a glimpse of the bright green, orange, and yellow. A skill that I learned for this project was how to use an electric sander, how to correlate multiple colors into one project without it being too overwhelming, budgeting money and time, because I wanted to complete this project before school started. I will use these skills in my future because I hope to complete more DIY projects as a homeowner and manage time in my future career. A challenge that I faced was reassembling the table. I learned that it's okay to ask for help when you are struggling. Thanks, Dad. Another challenge was taking my visuals to school during a windstorm. Highly don't recommend it. My visual was torn into 3 or 4 pieces, and I redid it, and it even turned out better than the first time.